Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the Wrestling Maniac Podcast. I am your host, Marvelous Mike, and it is great to come to you again this day and to bring you This Week in Wrestling. And this is sort of the format that I'm going to do, hopefully, every week. I'm going to bring you wrestling results from the world of wrestling around, and I'll put my comments with them and what I think about what happened, and then we'll cover some news at the end of the program. And this is a weekly program that I am going to try to bring to you. So anyway, let's start off the week with Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw. It was a decent program. I found that these episodes were, this episode was sort of okay. I mean, had great wrestling from the women wrestlers, and it brought forth some good storylines. And so let's get into this. So we start off Monday Night Raw with Bobby Lashley coming to the ring, and he's talking about everything about how that Goldberg doesn't deserve a shot and all this stuff. Well, of course, here comes Bill Goldberg. The crowd was very vocal in Chicago, and it was quite comical. At the start, we heard the traditional Goldberg chants. I'm not sure if that was piped in by the WWE or not. It might have been. But as Goldberg began to spill his thoughts on Bobby Lashley, and we got several chants from the crowd. Goldberg and CM Punk. Of course, CM Punk's in the news of pro wrestling. Reportedly is signing with AEW, and of course you're going to hear chants from the Chicago native CM Punk in regards to anything that's to do with pro wrestling in Chicago. Bobby Lashley still wouldn't decide if he was going to take Goldberg's challenge or not, and everybody knows that, there was a foregone conclusion. The only reason why Goldberg was brought in was for his SummerSlam match. He's contracted with the WWE for 2 matches a year. He still looks okay, but honestly, it's the nostalgia act is gone with Goldberg. They're trying to make him some sort of threat, but after his last outing with Drew McIntyre, I just don't have. I mean, he looks old, and but getting to the storyline, Goldberg left. Then MVP started confronting his son at ringside, and Goldberg come back out and speared MVP. So then Bobby Lashley's was shocked in the ring that all this was happening, and then Goldberg's son walked out with him, and so that was the storyline there of what we have. I just wasn't impressed. Still not impressed in seeing this match. I don't think anybody is. They have, and we'll get into the WWE's failure, of even getting somebody to that level with all of this talent that they had, getting anybody else to the level to be able to main event SummerSlam. Let's go on, and the next match was Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal's squad. I like the look of these two new henchmen for Jinder Mahal. Drew McIntyre come out with a sword, and then it ended up in a handicap match. And then finally, Jinder Mahal attacked Drew McIntyre, getting Drew McIntyre disqualified. Then Drew McIntyre got his sword back out and threatened to get them all. And it's just weird. I mean, a sword. Do we really want to go down that? Do we really want to go down this way? I mean, why couldn't Drew McIntyre have a mace? You can have nice props for that. I have a few myself that I'm working on with movie props, and so yeah. I mean, I'm glad that Drew McIntyre has moved on into a program. I'm glad that Drew McIntyre has remained as a top guy. Glad that Jinder Mahal is being elevated here again. I mean, people got tired of Jinder Mahal when he was a WWE champion, but he does provide and fill a role in the pro wrestling landscape, and he's worked his ass off to get back into the ring. To be able to do this, they've got a good group with him. I would like to see more here in the way of the story where a babyface has to overcome insurmountable odds. Then finally, the babyface prevails. They could even do a kayfabe injury on Drew McIntyre. I noticed that in this, that Drew McIntyre really isn't taking a lot of bumps. They could powerbomb, they could powerbomb Drew McIntyre through a table. They could do so much, and you have to give that story there to where, yeah, I mean, I know it's the old adage that Hulk must flex. That was the adage back during the 1980s, during Hulk's run, is that Hulk had to flex. He had to look victorious in every situation. But I think it's more necessary. I think it's better when the babyface has to have a struggle against a big monster heel, such as we're a big monster heel group. It makes the Jinder Mahal and his entourage, Veer and Shanky, look really weak. I mean, when compared to Drew McIntyre, and they really need to be They need to be made to where they are looking a little bit stronger. Next we have Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax. Now, and Rhea Ripley went over Nia Jax, which she should. Honestly, this was sort of a throwaway match. I think that it takes a little bit away from Nia Jax's mystique, letting her get, pinfalled here. There was a big botch in this in this match where Rhea Ripley just caught Nia Jax for real in the face with her boot and busted her open. And, I didn't, it goes back to training. It goes back, this should not be happening. Said, well, it's not rocket science. Well, it's a lack of training for this to take place. Nia Jax is not the greatest worker in the world. And you got to rely on Rhea Ripley for this to pull off the match. And it was just not a good look. And it's one of the overall things, that's really wrong in the landscape of pro wrestling is that there is not enough protection of your opponent in the ring. And I think that this goes on to serve as an example. Next we have Mace and T-Bar versus Mansoor and Mustafa Ali. Now, I want to say that I really like the teaming of Mansoor and Mustafa Ali. Mace and T-Bar looked good too. It's good to see that there was some other tag teams here. The WWE just really don't have a strong tag team division. Mustafa Ali was the one that ended up getting the pin here. That they should set up Mansoor and Mustafa Ali with a championship run. I doubt that they will, because that is just the way the WWE rolls. Who knows? Vince McMahon does not like tag teams. It's been proven over the years. And so, anyway, it was Mace and T-Bar ended up getting the win with a double choke slam in this contest. Next, we had Charlotte Flair do a promo break. She just really knows how to manipulate the crowd and plays off of the crowd. She's such a good heel. And she's talking about Nikki Ash and talking about their match that was coming up and everything, and talked about what she was going to do to Nikki Ash. So Nikki Ash comes up from behind her and hits her with a chair. I don't like this at all. I think that Nikki Ash, if they're going to go down this road, that Nikki Ash is going to play a hero, she's going to play a superhero, it needs to be a traditional superhero that doesn't resort to these measures. She stabbed Charlotte Flair in the back. That's a heel move, but I guess it sort of got the crowd to pop a little bit, but it just, and it's just not really genuine to the character. And but anyway, it set up the match to come in the end. Next, then we got Tamina and Doudrop. Pepper Niven is her Doudrop. I am completely offended by this. Is totally a Vince McMahon creation, and it's offensive that he would name Pepper Niven at this. She's a larger lady, but she is great in the ring. Clearly, in every match that she's with Eva Marie in, she is carrying it. And it just don't, come off as Eva Marie. So much can be said. I just don't. I'm just not. She don't have it for me. I just. They want to make her into some sort of heel and some sort of presence. They have got rid of so many talented women in the WWE, and they replace them with Eva Marie, and just don't understand that they think that Eva Marie has more appeal. I mean, Lana had more appeal than Eva Marie, and Lana was green in the ring as she could be, but you know, you can appreciate Lana that she was getting better week by week. And we had Alexa Bliss appear on the overhead Tron, sort of interrupting the match, I guess. Her dog, you know, I'm just not into Alexa Bliss's character. I don't want to say that she stole Bray Wyatt's gimmick, but she did. And you know, I'm just not into her character. I was a Alexa Bliss fan, but I know she said she had nothing to do with this, but she completely stole his character. And the WWE went with that. So that's what we're left with. That was the end. We see Miz TV, and they bring out Damien Priest. You know, it's really hard to get invested into a character like Damien Priest. He's immensely talented, but he is limited because of his age, and don't know how long he's going to be around. I know this is his moment. This is his moment to shine. He finally made it to the WWE, but when you see all the changes going on in the WWE, you don't know how long that they are going to be able, or they're going to allow him to continue with their program. So Damien Priest defeated John Morrison in a pinfall, and then Sheamus come out, interfered, and then it was Sheamus versus John Morrison versus Damien Priest and Ricochet. Ricochet come out, and you know, it was a mid-card match. And it was what it was, and John Morrison took yet another pin. How many times can you pin these guys in the ring and people do not take them seriously? Said, well, you know, Sheamus is not going to eat the pinfall. We'll do something. Have the heels win. I mean, do something to where have the Miz interfere in some way and get the baby faces to lose. It was definitely overbooking here, I think, and it takes away from the heels, and the heels should have come out on top, and John Morrison yet ate another pinfall. Then we get Omos versus Riddle. I guess this is okay. You know, Omos is the Great Khali 2.0, and they're trying to build him up and want to build him up as a major threat, as a single star. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. But it was an attempt, and Matt Riddle ate the pin here. I don't see anything wrong with that, as long as you're building this guy, Omos. Then it was Keith Lee versus Karrion Kross. And Karrion Kross lost again. And I'm not saying that he should have won against Keith Lee, but it's just, how are you going to build this guy if you're 2 weeks in a row he loses? He was supposed to face again Jeff Hardy and presumably win over Jeff Hardy, or Jeff Hardy was going to beat him, but Jeff Hardy come down with COVID, so there was that. And Keith Lee needed this win. He did. And I don't know if he is going to be staying with them or not, or they're going to move Keith Lee to SmackDown because he was at SmackDown in a dark match. And so who knows what they're doing. I don't think anybody knows. I don't think Vince McMahon knows. He makes decisions on the fly on these matches. So we have the 24/7 championship match between Reggie and Akira Tozawa. I was surprised Reggie was this talented, that he can do a lot of somersaults. But he retained his championship. I guess the WWE is changing how the 24/7 championship works. Don't know. Don't really care. So I guess that Reggie is going to be your 24/7 champion. Akira Tozawa, he's immensely talented. This is a lower tier card. It'd be like, I guess, a television championship. That's what it really is. Then we have Nikki Ash versus Charlotte Flair in a no-holds-barred match. It was a decent match. Nikki Ash defeated Charlotte Flair. It was good because Nikki Ash needed to be established as a champion. I don't know what's going to happen. There's going to be another triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam between Nikki Ash, Charlotte Flair, and Rhea Ripley. So, I suppose that in that match that Nikki Ash will eat the win, eat the pin, and it's great for Nikki. She is talented. I'm not really into the superhero gimmick at all, but I know that it's good from a business point of view to have something like this. So that's what we had for Monday Night Raw. It was overall, it was a decent program, I thought. The women are just so talented, and really, they are really outworking the men, to be honest, in the WWE. And that's the truth. Raw wasn't dismal. I wish there would have been some better storylines. But the women really are shining here in the WWE. Hate to see the botch in the Rhea Ripley Nia Jax match, but honestly, who could not predict that? They need to have something better. I think in some respects they need to take, either Rhea Ripley go back heel. They put her as a babyface, and there's not, I don't guess they're waiting for Becky Lynch to return, and that will help the women's division even more. And it really is sad that the match that we're going to get for the WWE Championship is going to be awful. I would not be a bit surprised if Goldberg did not win. I hope not. Bobby Lashley needs a better appointment and deserves a lot better. So that was Monday Night Raw. Next, we're going to be talking about WWE SmackDown. I'm not going to be covering NXT. We'll get to some NXT news coming up a little bit later. And this was okay. Again, the women really shine here on this program. Sasha Banks made her return again, and it was sort of a setup to open the show between, I believe it opened the show between Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, and Zelina Vega. And Zelina Vega, I'm glad that she finally got a chance to. She is finally getting a chance to shine. She has been pretty decent in the ring. I hate that, if you're going to be a major threat as a heel, why are you losing so much? And after a while, you just get you get tired of it and you get immune to it. So this opened the show. It was okay promo going back and forth. I still say that the SmackDown Women's Championship is sort of the mid-card title for the women's division, but it's okay. I mean, both of these ladies are very talented. All three of them are. I would like to see Carmella more in the mix. I think that she is a better heel, and again, she is a heel that they constantly let loose, and it's just, how can a heel be a heel and have any sort of validity if they constantly lose? And it goes back to Zelina Vega. It goes back to Carmella, and then we have Sasha Banks that comes back in and takes over. I admit I'm not the biggest Sasha Banks fan. But she is pretty talented in the ring, and but anyway, so it's going to be another match, that's going to be on SummerSlam. Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. Yada yada yada. Right. So we have next. We have Dominic Mysterio versus Jey Uso. Feathering this line with the issues. I think that they're eventually going to set up Rey versus Dominic at SummerSlam. And the Usos ended up winning. It was an okay match, but we'll see how things play out. Then we have the Intercontinental match, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews really has not been booked very strongly here. Ever since he won the title, he's just like being on a steady decline. Every match, I think really comes with the General Commander Aziz getting interfering, and Apollo Crews either winning or then he comes or wins or just disqualified. And they're setting up Shinsuke Nakamura to be the Intercontinental Champion at SummerSlam. And there could be something so much better if there was some decent writing was allowed. But so we got what we got. It was just okay. We got Tegan Knox versus Tamia. Tamia's getting another match. We know that Natty is out because she's injured. They're, I guess, going to be setting up the tag team, Sonya Blackheart and Tegan Knox for against Tamina and Natalya. Hopefully Natalya can make it back by SummerSlam. I mean, it had the horrible finish that they use. It's like someone compared it to the finger poke of doom, the launcher from the little tank that Sonya Blackheart had hit Tamina and caused a distraction, and Tina Knox got the win. It's hilarious. Wrestling, right? But it was a decent match. Next, we have Edge and Seth Rollins back and forth. The Ultimate Opportunist versus the Ultimate Manipulator. And the Ultimate Opportunist showed what a master he was at promos and getting people in the ring. A lot of controversy over the ending of some of the words that Seth Rollins used, because he supposedly gimmicked, infringed upon AEW's oh gosh, I have to look at all these names because it's hard to keep everybody straight. As much pro wrestling as there is. MJF's catchphrase, but you know what? Who cares? I mean, honestly, MJF is good, but he's not Seth Rollins, and that'll probably get some people angered, but I really don't care. They're not in the same stratosphere. MJF may get to that point, still he needs to put on some weight and put on some muscle buff, put on some muscle before he can really be taken seriously as a heel. I think not Herculean, but gee, dude, work out, look the part. That's my thought. That might get some people angered too, but oh well, come on. Then we have the Street Profits versus, but anyway, I will say on this, Edge versus Rollins at SummerSlam. That will be the match. That will be the match at SummerSlam. That should be the match for a title. It really should. Not every match needs to be a title match, but what if the Intercontinental Championship was on Seth Rollins? And yes, Edge don't need the Intercontinental Championship, but make it work. Elevate that belt above what the U.S. title is. Make it important. Make it relevant. And you know, I'm glad that Apollo Crews has had this title or this championship. You know, but still, yeah, it needs to be upgraded a little bit. You know, Apollo Crews and Shinsuke Nakamura, there should be another title there, like the 24/7 title. There should be a television championship or something like that, a lower tier title for that group. I mean, WWE has enough people, even though they continually are getting rid of everybody. But the WWE has that enough people to make it relevant and make the Intercontinental Champion feel important, not just as some sort of championship that's out there. You know, the best thing, and then we got the Street Profits versus the Dirty Dogs. Street Profits, great crowd. You know, pop performers. I mean, the height that Montez Ford gets on these splashes is just absolutely extraordinary. Arguably, as reported here in the Bleacher Report, it is absolutely an astonishing frog splash. I mean, the height that this guy gets on this thing, it looks so mesmerizing. You know, it's too bad that these moves and these finishing moves are so diluted these days because everybody does the same thing. But we'll get to that a little bit later. An interview that I come across, and with Dr. Tom Pritchard about some of the problems with the WWE right now. But this thing looks extraordinary. You know, if you have a frog splash like this, you should be the only one doing it in the WWE on both brands, because it looks amazing, absolutely amazing. And you have to see the height that he gets on this. It's just phenomenal. And then we get Bianca Belair versus Selena Vega. You know, I don't know why. I mean, I know you have to book your champion strong, but the heel's got to be the heel. They got to be booked strong too. Not just, you know, I mean, come on. I don't know. It's just, you know, I hate that this talent is booked so dismal, that they look so weak. And it's just the way that it is. I mean, it was a good build towards SummerSlam. Then we get Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin. You know what? And Baron Corbin is playing this down on luck guy. You know, he's better as a monster heel. An asshole monster heel. That's his character. That's who he should be. And Finn Balor is here, and he literally obliterated Baron Corbin and showed that, you know, he belonged. I want to say this. The WWE does not need John Cena come in and get the spotlight from Finn Balor. This is one of the issues I have with the WWE. Finn Balor is a strong enough babyface. Let's take him to the next level. I mean, you're just bringing John Cena in, no doubt, to take the pin from Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has been, his story is so great. Number one, because Roman Reigns has to approve about everything that has to be done. He don't have to, but he is there. How they're using him is tremendous because the tribal chief is taking control of his character, which he should, and his character should be protected. But here you have Finn Balor instead of John Cena. And you got 2 weeks. I mean, and they destroyed. They're doing everything right with Finn Balor. And what are they going to do with Balor? Now that John Cena's there, that John Cena's going to be taking the match. You're there to promote your movie. That's good. The Suicide Squad. But come on, man. You don't need John Cena to get people interested. I mean, you might get a few people that seen the movie that come in and see John Cena. You want to do something with John Cena, this is what you do. Have John Cena involved. Don't have John Cena as in the match. Have it between Roman Reigns and Finn Balor with John Cena as the special guest referee. That is what I would do. And they're paying a lot of money for John Cena to come in. They think that, and after the show went off the air, John Cena again did a beat down on the Usos. But, come on, man. I mean, that's what you do. You don't have John Cena to come in and steal away and trying to steal away from Finn Balor and taking away, trying to make another superstar, that is for his era and his time. But no, they have to come in and they have to bring John Cena in. They have to bring Goldberg in. Wouldn't it be better for John Cena? I mean, if you're going to do this, I would much rather see John Cena versus, Bobby Lashley. That's a matchup. I don't think we've seen that matchup. Instead of Goldberg versus John Cena. And, and leave the Finn Balor and the Roman Reigns alone because you already have that there. You already have an established name on SmackDown of Roman Reigns. You already have the older superstar that come in and Edge is doing a tremendous job. The show doesn't need John Cena. For him to possibly end Roman Reigns' Universal title run, which he should not do. I mean, regardless of what happens. You should have went from the last pay-per-view that they had, Money in the Bank, and should have been Finn Balor's return. And all this time you should have built towards SummerSlam with Finn Balor chasing after Roman Reigns and him constantly getting beat down by the Usos and Roman Reigns. And then you have Finn Balor come in and you have him win the Universal Championship from Roman Reigns. It'd have been a good story. But no, you have to interject John Cena, who, to be honest, it's better for him to be in Hollywood making money and not take this money from the WWE, prepare for his next film, because that's what his career should be now, is solely just like The Rock doing films. Because the WWE wants to bring pop culture in. Well, that's fine. You want to bring John Cena in, either face him against Bobby Lashley and have Bobby Lashley win, because it would help. It will help Bobby Lashley more to get a win over John Cena than it would for Roman Reigns to get a win over John Cena. Have Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor at SummerSlam, and you let Finn Balor win with a massive pop. And even if they're going to have a crowd at SummerSlam, which we don't know, it may be a limited crowd because of COVID restrictions and everything that's going on with COVID right now. We don't know what the decision is going to be, but it would make more sense if they would do that. I do believe that. So that's my thoughts on the direction here with the WWE in their booking decisions. You know, that's the problem with the WWE. They don't build superstars. They have a guy. They have Finn Balor here. They have a guy that has proven that he was in NXT. Now he's here. He has sort of reinvented himself in NXT, and now he's here. You build him. You let him win. And you do this. You just don't need Cena versus Reigns. I mean, you need, if you want to build somebody, I mean, for John Cena to win, you do it with Bobby Lashley. You don't do it with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns don't need that. Roman Reigns don't need the rub. Bobby Lashley does. Bobby Lashley's win over Goldberg really don't mean anything, to be honest. Because, let's be honest, Goldberg is washed up. He doesn't have the nostalgia that he had a year ago. He lost his nostalgia when he had that horrible match with The Undertaker. It almost ended Undertaker's career prematurely. I mean, thank goodness The Undertaker was able to get that cinematic match in. I mean, because it's horrible. And it was a horrible situation. He lost everything, all respect, everything during that match. Bringing him in for the Drew McIntyre match, bringing him in for the Bobby Lashley match means nothing. You might as well have Joe Somebody out there instead of Bill Goldberg. Goldberg is not a draw anymore. Okay? He isn't. Well, people chanting his name. You know what? No. I'm not excited. I watch so many wrestling programs, and look at fan reactions. Nobody is excited about Goldberg versus Lashley. What they're upset about is possibly that they're going to give Goldberg the win over Bobby Lashley. Or they're going to give the win of John Cena over Roman Reigns. Completely defusing his entire run as a heel. No. Either you build somebody up within your company like Finn Balor, or you leave Roman Reigns as the champion. You said, well, they're just using Roman Reigns to feed Brock Lesnar when he returns, which I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. And so this is where we're standing at right now with the WWE in their booking decisions. I mean, come on, Karrion Kross. You got another guy there. You got another guy there that could be on the same level as Kane. They would have never booked Karrion Kross like this back during the Attitude Era. Never. He'd have went through a lot of jobbers, a lot of enhancement talent, and he would have been booked strong. You don't break up the act between Karrion Kross and his valet. I forget her name, I'm sorry. That was a package deal. Okay? And let's go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and get into this since we're talking about the WWE. A little bit of news from this week is the WWE released again 12 talents from NXT. Some of these people had former NXT North American champions. Some of these guys and girls very talented in the ring. But Nick Khan and WWE has decided it's not for budget reasons. What they're doing is, and I'll go ahead and talk about this. NXT, and this article appears on Wrestling Headlines, and I agree with it. NXT's dead. NXT is dead. They're not going to be coming back anytime soon. They have already said that they are going to change the format of NXT. NXT, they're going to make it for younger talent. Instead of making another program, which they could have it exclusively on the Peacock network, which Peacock would probably like that, so they have some content on their network. Instead of having something that could help younger talent, where not so many eyes is going to be on them, where they're not going to be in plain sight on major network. Leave NXT in the way that it was and let it become a third brand like Triple H had built it to be. They're going to gut NXT, they're going to dilute NXT, and they're going to make it irrelevant as it was before Triple H took over NXT. Vince McMahon, Tony Khan, or not Tony Khan, whatever his name is, I get it confused, but Tony Khan is with AEW, but this other Nick Khan is going to gut NXT. It's solely going to be a developmental territory. And still these guys and gals, or men and women, are coming to NXT, not receiving the training that they need. They're still doing botches horribly in the ring because they're expected to be ready within a year. And then they get to the main roster and they're not ready. The reason is because they're not able to develop as talent. It takes more than a year to become ready to be in pro wrestling. People want instant gratification. You know what? I'm almost, we are so excited when independent talent signs with the WWE, NXT. They're coming in, but most of them, when they do that, it's the last. They never really pan out. Most of them don't. You get one or two that do. I mean, where's Kevin Owens? I mean, what are they doing with him for SummerSlam? Nothing. Where's Sami Zayn? What are they doing him with SummerSlam? Nothing. You need that third brand for the WWE. They're cutting costs. You know what? They're making record profits. Instead of contracting, they need to be expanding. Said they can't because of COVID. I don't believe that. They're using COVID as an excuse why they can't expand. You know, I don't believe that. They're still making huge waves in wrestling. They have all of this talent, and they can't utilize them. They can't develop them. Dr. Tom Pritchard, who used to be one of the main trainers for NXT, has a recent interview online. Just Google it on YouTube, check it out, and he talks about some of the problems that why the WWE cannot create talent, and they should have. You know, NXT should be its own brand. That's where you should bring in your independent talent at. If they pan out, they pan out. If they don't, they don't. Okay. Fair enough. But you need another brand there to be able to develop WWE stars that are homegrown, as the term goes. And it would be perfect. Peacock would, I know they would want the content. They're paying $1 billion. $1 billion. Close to $1 billion. And they're not doing it for wrestling, a wrestling library. They're doing it for programming because they need programming. They need programming on their TV, on their streaming service, on Peacock. It could be it would be a featured program of that, and they would get more views. They would, and if they could structure it in a way, they could do it as a reality show for these talents that are coming, for these talents that are signing as former NFL players. Former NFL players, former women's fitness contestants, former women's college athletes, to discover the next Charlotte Flair, to discover the next Sasha Banks. You know, but the WWE is not doing this. Vince McMahon's going to put his hands on NXT. You know, I mean, we're to the point now in the WWE where we don't even know if they're going to be having content that is going to be that nobody is safe. I mean, release Bray Wyatt? Gee, come on, man. But you know, they got and release all this talent. It's ridiculous, you know. And you know, Triple H isn't even safe at this point. Now they're seeing that reports is that I have to laugh, that Samoa Joe wants to go back to commentary. Really? Gee. You know, they haven't built up anybody in NXT to be the NXT champion because they need to get the belt off of Karrion Kross, because he's now on the main roster and they need to get the belt off of him. It is so messed up in the WWE right now. And no wonder that the fans are flocking to AEW. So anyway, that's one of the major newses, and go check that out, that interview with Dr. Tom Pritchard. It's really good and it's really some sound wisdom about the reason why that the WWE can't develop any more superstars, megastars, you know, and And I can understand it, I mean, it's got to be the WWE way when they're ready for the main roster. But they're going to be blaming Triple H, I guess. But, NXT is a dead brand. It's not going to be a third brand. It was almost there. It was an alternative to the Raw and SmackDown format. But they're going to run it into the ground. And I don't blame Triple H at all. It's all Vince McMahon. It's all Nick Khan. And yeah, it was good while it lasted, right? This global expansion by the WWE. As I contend and have said before, that Vince McMahon is preparing to get the WWE positioned where it can be an attractive, profitable, it's already profitable, but an attractive, profitable company so that they can sell it. Because I do not think that he has one intention of handing over the reins of the WWE to either Triple H or Stephanie McMahon at all. Shane McMahon has seen the writing on the wall, has starting to invest most of his time as a CEO of a business company somewhere. And, it's the writing on the wall. If any telltale sign is there that there is it's that. And for Shane McMahon, sort of just wash his hands of it. And don't blame him. It's that's the way it is. And so, I know I'm predicting this here, but that's just the way I think that it's going to be. So we're going to leave the talk of the WWE for a while here as we go on, and we're going to cover some of the other happenings in the world of wrestling. And I'm going to try to start covering AEW Dynamite, NXT, Impact Wrestling, and we're going to try to cover also the NWA Extra Power results. I don't have access to Fight TV, but I want to cover these three promotions here. I'm not covering New Japan because it's really hard to follow because of the time difference for me. Sorry about that, but we're going to be covering these three because these three promotions are working together in conjunction. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover AEW first, and we're going to talk that they opened the show with another match with MJF. Fabulous on the ring, and they were continuing to push this Labors of Jericho. Jericho has to go through all of these people in order to get to MJF, a match to MJF. And the next opponent was Juventud Guerrera. Wow, Juventude's changed a lot since his WCW days. He's around the same age as Chris Jericho. It was Jericho had to win this match with a top rope maneuver. It was, I guess, okay. It is really, a match between two older wrestlers that are not in their prime. And Juventud has looked better Just two 40-year-olds, they're professional, they still can work, but, it is what it is. Chris Jericho defeated Juventud, and when he defeated Juventud, then MJF's henchman Warlow, whatever, attacked Jericho, and MJF said that next week he'd be at ringside and Warlow was his next opponent. Whatever. I don't know how Chris Jericho is, how they can book this. I mean, Warlow's one of those guys that just a star waiting to happen. And he's the best one of the Pinnacles. Participants or members. So, yeah, that's what we got. Not too thrilled about the match. It wasn't spectacular. And then we had Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston, and Darby Allin versus 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. This was primarily a enhancement talent versus the Stars match. Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley, they're two beefy guys, and they definitely should be in contention for the AEW Championship, Tag Team Championships. That's for sure. It should be between those two, them and Young Bucks. So we move on. It was okay. Sting was at ringside. Then we had Christian Cage versus The Blade. It's good to see Christian Cage in action. I don't. Then The Blade was with The Bunny. Nothing spectacular. Not too thrilled about these two characters at all. I would have much rather seen The Blade's, I think he's called the Butcher, tag team partner, versus Christian Cage. I mean, Christian Cage needs to overcome a guy that's an obstacle for him. But it was okay. I mean, then we get an interference. When we started getting interference, we had legit Leia Hirsch attack the Bunny. Bunny looks tremendous. So set up a match with him later on in the program. We have found out after the match that Cage now is number one contender for the AEW Championship held by Kenny Omega. I'm not too thrilled about that match. To be honest, I mean, there's no, I just don't feel. Why do I want to see this? I mean, gonna put the belt on Christian Cage. He needs to be there for one reason, and that's to build up talent. He should challenge the mid-card talent. He should challenge for the mid-card championship, the TNT championship, but I don't really get into this. Then we get Britt Baker accepts Red Velvet's challenge. Red Velvet come down. I mean, she's decent in the ring. Her match with Jade Cargill was great. But I mean, Britt Baker, she's okay. Red Velvet, she's okay. Just don't have that star power. The women's division is severely lacking in AEW. But, you know, they're doing okay, I guess. But hopefully we'll get a decent match instead of a blood and guts match, right? So then we get another promo. Apparently Hangman Page tells the Dark Order that he don't want them around anymore. Just setting the stage for Bray Wyatt to come in and take over the Dark Order, which seems like perfect fit, right? Then we get a confrontation between Page and the Elite, and just whatever. Not into the Elite at all. Oh God. I know that people may not like this, but just, you know, a bunch of grown men, you know, acting like idiots. You know, Kenny Omega, he is what he is, and they're trying to build him up as this megastar. He said he is a megastar. Well, you know, he's trying to be, but people say that, you know, he puts on tremendous matches. Kenny Omega's greatest mark on is Kenny Omega is on the map simply because of Okada, and Okada they had great chemistry together, and they put on some amazing matches in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And Kenny Omega does okay. They're trying to make him into multiple promotional champion, but I'm just not seeing it for myself. You know, it is what it is. I mean, the Elite is what it is. You know, you know, Hangman Page should be the one. They need to set up Hangman Page to take this title off of Kenny Omega. But I don't know when that is going to be. Then we get Miro versus Lee Johnson. This was a total squash match. Miro, you know, looks fantastic. Or Rusev looks fantastic. Maybe this is to set up a match between Miro and Dustin Rhodes. Don't know about that. That could be interesting. I know they're there to build a young talent, but that could be an interesting match. Miro versus Dustin Rhodes, Lee Johnson, young developmental talent. Needs a lot of work. Not Scorpio Sky. Yeah. Scorpio Sky is amazing, but this guy needs a lot of work. Then we went on the Bunny versus Layla Hirsch. The winner will face Camille, the NWA World Champion. I love that the NWA is getting some primetime exposure, because they're trying to build a brand. Camille looks like a legit champion. I mean, she's tremendously beautiful. I don't like the NWA Women's World Champion belt at all. I don't like that it's little bitty, and I mean, they're going for. I mean, come on, you're the NWA. Come on, have a nice championship. Ugh. Just like the Women's Championship with AEW. I'm not too thrilled about that championship either. It's bland, right? It's crazy. I mean, it's about how things look. It's about appearance. Look like a championship belt, like the WWE has for their women's division. The Bunny and Leah Hirsch. Yeah. I guess it was okay. Leah Hirsch was going to be set up against Camille, which is going to be a squash match for Camille, definitely. Then we have the main event, Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes. Wow. Great match. You guys couldn't build this to wait and reveal this at your pay-per-view. You got to have it on TV. Malachi Black couldn't have went through the guys in the Cody Rhodes' stable. Definitely Malachi Black, aka Tommy End, which I think that's such a better name. He should have went back to that name instead of Malachi Black trying to build off of his. Tommy End is just a great name. It had a really big match feel, and yeah, Malachi Black defeated Cody Rhodes. At the end of it, again, we have Cody crying in the ring, going to leave his boots, going to retire. How many times does he have to do this? Just come back every once in a while if you don't want to be full time. If you're going to do other things, if you're going to move on, do it at the pay-per-view. Don't take the loss here. Wait and give it at the pay-per-view where we can, people can see what happens. Build to a match. They know this, but they're wanting to give the fans what they want. But they can do that. They can build. I just don't understand why they don't do that. In AEW, and the WWE, why do they give all these matches away? It's absolutely just crazy, in my opinion. Of course, that's just my opinion. Next, I'm going to go over Impact Wrestling results. Again, we have Kenny Omega on here, and this was before AEW. He's trying to. The reason why Kenny Omega is champion here is they're trying to build up Impact. It's working, but now I guess we're going to bring in Kazarian to challenge Kenny Omega for the championship. Instead of utilizing a talent that is with Impact, instead of having Moose face Kenny Omega and winning the championship back for that brand, we have the Good Brothers that won. We have Chris Bay with Jay White versus Juice Robinson with David Finlay. Jay White from New Japan Pro Wrestling, of course. Bullet Club, Chris Bay. He was okay. I really don't know who Chris Bay is. It's the first time I've seen him. The first time I really checked in with Impact Wrestling in a while. It was decent, I guess. But I think that they're they're really just relying too much on talent from other promotions. And there is, when you do that, then you have no talent there. You're building no talent for your own brand, and you're backed into a wall. And that's why I think this is going to happen here with Impact Wrestling. We have, they have, well, they go on and they have other matches. They have a lot of promos in this thing. We have a number one contenders match for the AEW Championship. I guess that's okay. I'll go back over this. One thing that did happen. It's Jake something versus Daivari versus Raju with Trey Miguel. It was a decent match. Jake somebody looks pretty cool. Seems like to be pretty good talent. If you want to know what all happened, then just go check out the highlights on YouTube. One thing that we did have is we had, I was not expecting this. We have Dorana Carrazzo come out and start, she's the Impact Women's World Champion. And she talked about that no one was there to challenge her and all this stuff. And then here comes Mickie James. I guess Mickie James is just... I thought Mickie James was going to challenge her there for a minute. But Mickie James, I guess she's over the women's division and Impact? I don't know. Mickie James then brings out that she has a challenger for her, and it's none other than Melina. That was a shocker to see Melina there. NWA's Melina. So, the NBA, they're trying to build this NWA pay-per-view that they have coming up. And it may be called Revolution. But this women's pay-per-view that's right before the 73rd anniversary of the NWA and the day before. And there's going to be a lot of independent wrestlers that is going to be there. I mean, the NWA I don't have the results of some of the ROH stuff. I mean, program's going to be long enough. Without going over that, I just wanted to check it out. And it's really good to see all of this women's wrestling that's going on. And they have better storylines than the men do at times. So, yeah, I mean, it's great. And they're really trying to build something here, and it's pretty cool. And I look forward to it. So, Jake something wins this X Division number one contenders match. I don't. We'll get here to where it says who the X Division champion is. I remember him as the Texas champion in. Booker T's promotion in Houston, and yeah, looks interesting. Third match, we have Fire and Flava versus Rachel if I pronounce it, I'm sorry, versus Rachel Ellering and Jordynne Grace. Rachel Ellering and Jordynne Grace look great. These other ladies looked just amazing. And Anyway, Fire and Flair ended up losing, and then the after effects of this was that there was sort of a turn here. And then I'm not sure which one it was, excuse me, but another person come down, Kira, then another person come down, and then we see them, turn on each other, I guess. It was unclear exactly what was going on. We see Eric Young backstage, and we see Rich Swann and Willie Mack wanting a shot at the Good Brothers Impact World Championships. Willie Mack should be in. I'd like to see Willie Mack versus Kenny Omega. I tell you, Willie Mack hits the best stunner that I've seen. I mean, Kevin Owens does okay, but Willie Mack's stunner is amazing. And he should be in there facing Kenny Omega instead of Kazarian. Or it should be Moose versus Kenny Omega. I mean, come on, man. Then we get another match: Steve McGreen versus Jay Ha. I really don't know who these people are. Steve Macklin wins. I just sort of fast forwarded through it. Then we get the main event: the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega with Don Callis versus Frank Kazarian, Sami Callihan, and Eddie Edwards. Oh gosh, I guess I'm glad that Sami Callihan has a job. I don't know why at this point. They still try to pan off Sami Callihan as this dangerous wrestler. Sami Callihan package power bombs Kenny Omega on the apron. Seriously, why does Kenny Omega let this guy do this? Oh my gosh! No way! I know they're trying to build. I know they have tried to build Sami Callihan as this dude, but oh my gosh! I just don't. To see anything special about the dude. You have all this talent that's in NXT, and you have all this talent in WWE that's not utilized. Then Impact is using Sami Callihan. Whatever. I mean, all you Sami Callihan fans, I'm sorry, but it's just the way I feel. Post-match, W. Morrissey, big huge monster, comes down and power bombs Eddie Edwards. W. Morrissey, former Big Cass. Man, he looks menacing. I hope they let him run with the title. I really do. It's not, if they let Kazarian win the title, or Kenny Omega at their next pay-per-view event, they gotta let Morrissey beat Kazarian. This makes sense. I'm gonna say quick news and notes and about what I watched from our Ring of Honor this week. I watched the online version, I guess, of Ring of Honor week to week, it's called, and they really showcased a lot of women's matches on there, which is great. There really wasn't much of a story. Of course, I guess it's just a tournament, and so they're going to do that. Allison Kay is with ROH, and definitely she's definitely the main star. Let's be completely honest with that she is the main star with this promotion. We had Mike Bennett. It's good to see him. Good to see him, that he's doing well. I like that, he's in a company that's gonna do a lot of, that's gonna be doing a lot with him. So, yeah, we have that. And then I like the character development a little bit from what I've seen in some of the ROH characters. There's so much wrestling, and it's hard to keep up with everything. And this is what This Week in Wrestling is all about. Trying to discuss these things. Now, I don't have access to Fight Network, and I'm only going to cover the programs really that's free. So I'm glad that I did find the Impact has, well, not Impact, but the NWA has started a new show, and it's with Nick Aldis, the NWA World Champion, the real World Champion of professional wrestling. Whatever. It's what I feel. His character has been built up to where it's just amazing. I mean, you want to really compare Nick Aldis to somebody in wrestling history. You have to look back at the the AWA. Let me see here. There's so many names. I know who the guy is, but I sort of lose. I kind of lose. My memory isn't what it used to be, but he definitely is a back that classic, well-dressed type professional heel champion, and so that's what he is, and he does such a good job in the ring. He this extra power. I really would like to see the AWA. I mean, not the AWA. Would be interesting, wouldn't it, if somebody resurrected that brand, if they could buy it from the WWE licensing, right? But I really would like to. That would be amazing. If they could do that. But he really is just been built up as this amazing champion. And, back during the 80s, the AWA and, had not Nick Botwinkle, and I knew that I would get the name eventually. And he carried the AWA for so many years as their champion. And because he was this reliable champion that everybody could rely on, had a great program, everybody could work with him, but everybody knew that he was the champion. He built so many stars there in the AWA. But that's the sort of the sense of the character of Nick Aldis and what he has developed as a champion. And you can't deny the history of the NWA. And I would really like to see the NWA. Now, the NWA traditionally has worked with other promotions, but the NWA, needs to be featured on other promotions' pay-per-views. Not just simply the women's championship, but also the NWA champion. I really don't see anybody in the NWA that has been built up, has name recognition. We have Aaron Stevens. He has so many characters. I love sort of the nostalgia acts in the NWA. They had a few fans in this program before they had been running, without fans. And they tape so many programs ahead of time. Now, it's been a while since I really checked in on the NWA. I really wanted to see what was going on. They have Chris Masters, or Adonis, and they had him come back and win the North American Championship off of Trevor Murdoch. I know Trevor Murdoch is a big old burly dude. He needs to hit the gym some. He's really gotten really heavy. Seems like more so than last time that I've seen him. He does, or he needs to cover up that belly or something. You just need to look the part, man. And that's okay. Big guys. There's always been big guys in professional wrestling. There has been, and I like that. I'm not going to be like this WWE guy that says that they have no room in our sport, because I think the WWE is trying to get rid of heavy-set acts in their sport, but in their brand, which is really sort of a sad thing, because they've always had a sport like King Kong Bundy, the big monster heel, that challenged Hulk Hogan, and was prevalent in the WWCW thing, the act that was in Dallas. That's where he got notoriety, and then he got caught. Then he went to New York. But this was a decent program. Nick Aldis started off. Good to see the champion there. He was facing Odin's son. Big old burly dude. Big old chiseled guy with the whole Viking theme. Yeah, it's different. I think Odin's son probably maybe, I don't know if he is a baby face. Trying to build him as a baby face. That'd be more of a heel type character. I don't know. Maybe they're, and then, it's okay. We have, then Camille was there, of course. The highlight of this show, the main event was Tyrus. I was really shocked to see Tyrus back wrestling. particularly since he has a political program on Fox. I don't think that's a line that needs to be crossed, honestly. I think, if you're going to be in pro wrestling, if you're going to be in show business, you need to be in show business. You don't need to mix politics with show business. And I know they're trying to build off of the whole thing. Nick Aldis, of course, he won the match. Looks great. But then you get the pinfall on one of your main dudes that you're trying to build up. Then we had Tim Storm face some young kid. Tim Storm was on commentary to begin with the Nick Aldis match with another dude, and there was there was way too many people. They wasn't calling the match. It was really hard to pay attention to the match when they was calling the match because there was too much interaction between Tim Storm and whoever that dude was that has some podcast. I don't know who it is. Never heard of him before. I know he probably has more followers than me, but that's okay. But you know what? He was playing the heel commentator, and it was more distracting than it was calling the action in the ring. What do? You call the action that's in the ring, Let us know what's going on. Build up the talent in the ring. You're not there to build yourself up. I don't care what wrestling program that you have, Talk about the action that's in the ring. Let us know what's going on. But then we had Tim Storm. Evidently, it was edited. They tape all this stuff, of course. And Tim Storm come out was sort of facing this guy. I guess his name's Clearwater. Don't know who the kid is. But, Tim Storm got the win there. I think it would have been more shocking if they'd had a program there where the kid picked up the win. He done something. If he was going to be made on where making him into a heel, then do that. I mean, again, lack of storytelling. So we have, then we had an interview with Camille and Thom Latner of Strictly Business. They're, I don't know if they're an actual couple, but I guess it's okay. I was surprised that, one of the unique things about Camille is that it added a lot of nostalgia to her character, was that she wouldn't speak. And I know that they had to get to the point of where she spoke, I guess. But I think it adds a little less of the mystique of the character. And they took away from her character. I mean, you can still have her speak, but let her just say a few words. I mean, her non-verbal communication was amazing. And, yeah. She can still be presented as a really strong woman. But that was part of her act. And they took away from that. And I think it takes a little bit away from the character when you have this act. I mean, it was not that, that she was trying to be dominated by a man. She can still be in a place of dominance, and so that she show that she is this strong female character, but let her have this attitude that she's just better than everybody else. She's too good to speak to people. She's too good to speak to the people that's interviewing her. You know, they could come out with a line of, you know, dominance without speaking a word. Dominance is silence. You know, silence is dominance, or something like that. You know, they could build up her character as this nostalgia act with this, and they had something there. And I'm surprised they went away from it, really, because, you know, maybe they was afraid they was getting too much backlash from it. But she could still be the one that, definitely she could still be the one without any control of any relationship that she would be portrayed on the screen. Which I think that it would really have some, you know, powerful implications. But then we go on into the highlight of the show. The sit down between Austin Idol and Vanilla Sky. Vanilla Sky is, you know, from the beautiful people of TNA. You know, I'll say she's hot. You know, she's in a relationship with Bully Ray, but she's definitely got it. And she retired from professional wrestling, and, you know, Austin Idol, who he was, the thing of it is that we need this in professional wrestling. Austin Idol is this old professional wrestler still living in the 80s, still living in the 70s and 80s, and that back and forth. And the reason they were doing this is because of the match that was coming up between Vanilla Sky is with Rich Swann as his valet in the NWA, his manager, and it was such a confrontation between them two that it made for great television. And that's what you're after, is you're after that great television there. And the amazing thing is they're doing this without a script. Maybe they have a guide, and just two great performers being utilized. And this is how you utilize these legends. And can you imagine the WWE? And the WWE tried this, but they did it in a creepy way with Ric Flair. But can you imagine if it's Ric Flair, you know, being Ric Flair, interacting, you know, and still trying to be the Nature Boy. But it's great that Austin Idol is there, and they brought him to the forefront and said, hey, you know, this guy that was so great, that could have been like, you know, that was in Memphis, that was, you know, maybe not everybody knows who he is today. You know, here he is, this guy, and looking like this 70s, you know, man, you know, dude. And, you know, it was so great. And I love that Austin Idol is in the NWA doing this, that he is the manager of Tyrus. Just such a perfect pairing between the two. I mean, you know, and, you know, I mean, I know that he can't take very many bumps because of his age, but still, yet, it's a match made in heaven with the NWA, with Austin Idol. And they got something there. And I would really like to see, you know, and then we have the match. I'll just go ahead. But then we have the match between Tyrus and the Pope. Of course, Tyrus wins via wins with the help of course, with Austin Idol. And it is just, you know, I mean, I'm glad to see Tyrus. I mean, they say he was really difficult to work with in the WWE. I don't know if he was. But Pope looked great here. Hopefully he's going to move on into a program with Nick Aldis. That would be good. That would be a good opponent for Nick Aldis. You still need to keep the belt title, NWA title, on Nick Aldis. He needs to be doing things. I mean, this January, I mean, I would love to see Nick Aldis in a match with Okada at Wrestle Kingdom, if it's going to be allowed, if it's all as possible. Nick Aldis versus Nick Aldis, even though they're two heels. Nick Aldis versus Kenny Omega. Nick Aldis versus AEW, some of the AEW stars that's after, and build up that NWA brand as a fourth option, because with as many pro wrestlers that's out there, and as we have ROH, we have Impact, we have AEW, we have WWE, which is just going to be two brands now because they're getting NXT, and it's not going to be worth anything, which is the truth. If they're going to do this, USA is not going to be well pleased with them at all. And I'll say that, this is my thoughts, my feelings of where the WWE is going with this. But you have this, it would be good to have this other brand that's out there that has this history of the NWA, that builds up the Real World's Champion, the Real World's Champion, the NWA Champion, Nick Aldis. Build him up. He's there, to take preeminence and build him up. He'd be such a good program with Kenny Omega. They'd have a tremendous match. I know there's guys in AEW, but yeah, it would be a fabulous match between Kenny Omega and him. That are Nick Aldis and some of these other guys that's out there. I'd even like to see before Cody Rhodes, if Cody Rhodes really is retiring, build up Cody Rhodes. Have Cody Rhodes face Nick Aldis again. If you're not going to be utilized, if you're just going to be some sort of nostalgia act in AEW, and it seems like that the influence of Cody Rhodes is sort of waning in AEW. And they're going to be going a certain way, and that traditional type of things that AEW, or that Cody Rhodes brings from this history, is sort of going to be in the background. Maybe he does need to go away for a little bit and come back. Jim Cornette always says, "How can you miss me unless I'm gone?" And he was wanting to get more into acting, and I understand that, why he wants to do that. But it is, I hate to see Cody Rhodes give up on pro wrestling. We have so much that's coming in the way, because you got some dream matches that's coming up. You got Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk. You got Cody Rhodes versus Bryan Danielson. These are just major. The AEW has so much talent right now. They're over talented. They need another tag team title belt. They have so many tag teams. They need a mid-card tag team belt. If they're going to be starting this other programming, they're going to have a brand split. They need a champion, a heavyweight champion or something like that on that brand. They're so big now. The women's division is lacking a lot in AEW, and they have a long ways to go before they can get on the level as way as performance with WWE. I believe This is just my thoughts. Okay, here's some news and points. I've already talked about the releases, the 12 released superstars in the WWE, and probably the main headline of the week is sadly the passing of Bobby Eaton. The Midnight Express, was one of the greatest tag teams of all time with Jim Cornette. Both iterations of the Midnight Express, but the one constant in the two constants in the Midnight Express was Bobby Eaton and Jim Cornette. Bobby Eaton was a tremendous talent. He went on and he became NWA television champion. I think that he even had a stint where he was NWA US champion. But the reason Bobby Eaton never was really in the spotlight as a singles wrestler was because he needed a manager to talk with him, but he was tremendous in the ring as an in-ring talent. It's sad that Bobby Eaton has passed away. Thoughts and prayers go out to his family. It's even more sad that the Midnight Express is not in the WWE Hall of Fame. And that's because of politics surrounding probably Jim Cornette. But and it probably will happen this time because of the passing of Bobby Eaton. They'll probably be expecting the Midnight Express to go into the Hall of Fame. I mean, they were the evil villains of the NWA, of WCW tag team. They fulfilled their role. They was enhanced by the manager Jim Cornette, and you can't have Batman without the Joker, and you couldn't have the Rock and Roll Express. And this is taken from the Rock and Roll Express's Hall of Fame induction, WWE. You can't have the Rock and Roll Express without the Midnight Express. And it is sad that Bobby Eaton passed away without having a chance to be alive when they would be inducted into the Hall of Fame. The WWE Hall of Fame is arbitrary. I don't even think that there is a place that you can actually go and visit the WWE Hall of Fame, which is ridiculous because it would be a tourist attraction. And just saddened by the passing of Bobby Eaton. Other news, there is a lot of rumors still going on. There's rumors about why Bray Wyatt was let go. Rumors about different things and why different ones was released and not released. Going on in pro wrestling, and they're going to build on that. But really newsworthy. Those two are the main story that have been there. We all know about the release of Bray Wyatt. Reportedly, there's even more releases fixing to come in the WWE. As I said before, they are trimming the company down to where it is going to be attractive to sell. Within the next 5 years, I am going to say this and predict this. I may be wrong. You can go back, you can check. In the next 5 years, you're going to see the WWE sold to a major company. Yeah, you heard it here first. I may be wrong, but I don't think I am, because Vince McMahon is setting this up. He is for this. So anyway, that is our program here. We've gone on for 2 hours talking about all what's been going on in professional wrestling. I can't wait until maybe have some more people here that can contribute to this program. But this is This Week in Pro Wrestling. Try to get it out a little bit earlier next week. But anyway, I hope each of you enjoyed this. My opinions. Please leave comments. Please share, like, and to subscribe. And remember, just watch pro wrestling for what it is. These are just my thoughts, my opinions, the way I look at things. My booking decisions. I'm not a professional. I'm not a doctor. I only play one on TV, right? I love pro wrestling still. And you guys take care, and we'll talk to you later here on the Wrestling Maniac Podcast. Bye-bye.